Oh my God.
The rope burned through Jack Garrison's hands, but he didn't let go. The wild horse screamed a sound like nothing else in the world. It was not a neigh, it was not a whinny. It was pure animal pain. The black Mustang twisted in the air, his body twisting like a rope, his hooves hitting nothing but hot desert wind. His eyes were white with terror. Blood dripped from his nose and splattered onto the red dust below. Jack yanked the rope harder. It was noon in the Badlands of Arizona Territory. The sun was so hot that the air itself seemed to shake. The desert stretched for miles in every direction. Nothing but red earth, brown rocks, and twisted cactus that looked like dead men's fingers reaching from the ground. There was no shade. There was no wind. There was only heat and dust and the sound of a horse dying. Around the wooden corral, 6 men stood watching. They were rough men with sunburned faces and hard eyes. Some drank whiskey from bottles. Some smoked cigars. One man laughed to sound like a dog barking. They had come to watch Jack Garrison break the wild stallion, and they were enjoying every second of it. "Make him bleed more," one man shouted. Jack heard him. A cruel smile crossed his face. He was a big man, wide as a barn door, with hands like hammers and a voice that sounded like gravel in a tin can. He had broken over 300 horses in his life. His name was famous across the West, famous for being cruel, famous for being fast, famous for never failing. The horse, they called him a champion. A wild Mustang caught in the mountains. His coat was black as midnight. His mane was long and tangled. His legs were strong and fast. The horse traders wanted to use him for racing. The army wanted to use him for war. Someone was willing to pay $500 if Jack could break him in one day. One day. It was now hour 4. Jack pulled the rope again. The horse's feet left the ground. The animal twisted and kicked, his beautiful body writhing in the air like a fish caught on a line. Jack had tied a saddle to the Mustang's back before sunrise. He had put a bit in the horse's mouth. He had wrapped rope around the animal's chest and belly and neck. Now the rope was tied to a post. The horse was learning a lesson. Resistance meant pain. Jack let the rope slack for a moment. The Mustang's hooves hit the ground hard. He was panting, breathing so fast his sides heaved in and out. His mouth was foaming. There was blood on his black coat, now blood from where the ropes cut into his skin. Jack looked at him and saw nothing but a problem to solve. "Come on, boy," he said, not kindly. "You just need to learn who's boss." He cracked a whip across the horse's back. The Mustang screamed again. This time he fell. His legs gave out and he crashed onto the red dust. The impact knocked the air from his lungs. He lay there for 1 second, just 1 second, and the men watching started to laugh. But the horse was not finished. With one more effort, one final burst of wild strength, the Mustang got up. He stood on shaking legs. His breathing was ragged. His eyes were still full of terror and rage. He looked at Jack Garrison with an expression that said only one thing: "I will never give in." This is what made Jack angry. He had never seen a horse with this much fight. Most animals broke after a few hours. They learned to fear. They learned to obey. This one, this beautiful black Mustang, refused to learn. Jack walked to the post and untied the rope. For a moment, everyone thought he might be finished, but he had a different plan. He pulled the horse close, so close he could see the fear shaking in the animal's body. Then Jack pulled out a knife. The blade was long and sharp, and it caught the sunlight. "You see this?" Jack said. His voice was quiet, which made it worse. "I can end this. I can kill you right now. Or you can stop fighting." The knife moved closer to the horse's neck. The Mustang's breathing changed. It became even faster, even more desperate. He was looking at death. He could feel it. But in that moment, that single moment when everything was about to get worse, something happened. A girl appeared on the ridge above the corral. She was tall and lean, maybe 16 years old. She wore a dark hat and dusty clothes. Her face was sun-browned and angry. Behind her was a horse, a fast-looking horse, saddled and ready. She stood very still, watching what Jack Garrison was doing. The men around the corral didn't notice her yet. They were too busy watching the knife come closer to the wild horse's throat. They were too busy waiting to see what would happen next. But the girl saw everything. She saw the black Mustang's fear. She saw the blood and the sweat and the rope burns. She saw a beautiful wild animal being broken by a cruel man. She saw Jack Garrison with his knife ready to kill a horse that had done nothing wrong except refuse to give up. And something inside her made a choice. The girl reached down and touched the rifle hanging from her saddle. Her hand was steady. Her face was hard. She was too far away for anyone to hear her clearly, but her lips moved, and she said something that only the Mustang could hear, though the horse didn't know it. "Not today, not this one." She pulled her rifle free. The sound, just the sound of metal against leather, made one of the men turn around. He squinted at the ridge. His face changed. He touched Jack Garrison's shoulder and pointed up. Jack turned. For the first time all day, his cruel smile disappeared. He saw a girl he didn't know, holding a rifle, pointing it at him. "Step away from that horse," the girl said. Her voice was young but hard like steel wrapped in cloth. The men around the corral froze. Whiskey bottles paused halfway to mouths. The temperature seemed to drop, even in the desert heat. Jack Garrison looked at the knife in his hand. He looked at the Mustang trembling beneath him. He looked at the girl with the rifle. And for the first time in his cruel life, something like fear crossed his face. "Girl," he said slowly, "you don't know who you're messing with." The girl did not move. The rifle did not shake. "Oh, I know exactly who you are," she said. "And I know what you're about to do, and I'm telling you, you won't do it. Not today. Not to this horse." Behind her on the ridge, a second figure appeared, then a third. Other riders. Other people who had seen what was happening and come to watch. The corral had been quiet. Now it was so quiet you could hear the wind moving through the desert cactus. The wild Mustang breathed. The girl held the rifle. And Jack Garrison realized finally that he was not in control anymore. Something was about to change.
The townspeople were quiet. Even the people who supported the sheriff felt something strange in their chests. This was not justice. This was something else, something darker. Henry Mills was still holding Old Tom's arm, but his other hand was moving. Slowly, slowly, his hand moved to his pocket where he kept a small bottle of water. And his eyes were moving too. They were looking at the crowd, looking for someone, looking for help. There was one person in the crowd who was not looking at the rope. She was looking at the girl and the horse. Her name was Clara. She was the owner of the boarding house. She was 60 years old. Her hair was white. Her face was lined like dry earth. She had seen a lot in her life. She had lost children. She had lost a husband. She had learned what pain was. Clara was walking slowly towards Sarah. The crowd did not stop her. The sheriff did not notice. His eyes were still on Jackson Reeves. His deputies were still holding Jackson's arms. Clara knelt down next to the girl and the horse. She touched Sarah's face with her hand. The girl was burning with fever. Clara looked at the horse. Storm's eyes were half open. She was still alive, just barely. Clara pulled a cloth from her pocket. She poured water on it from a bottle she carried. She put the cloth on Sarah's forehead. Then something happened. Sarah's hand moved. The paper fell from her fingers. It landed on the dirt. Clara picked it up carefully and looked at it. Her face went very white. She turned and looked at the sheriff. She turned and looked at Jackson Reeves. Then she looked back at the paper in her hand. "Wait," Clara said loudly. "Stop the hanging." The sheriff turned. His face was angry. "Old woman, go sit down." But Clara stood up. She held the paper above her head so everyone could see it. "This girl," Clara said, pointing at Sarah, "is the daughter of Jackson Reeves." "Yes, but she is also the daughter of someone else." The crowd made a noise. "What is this?" the sheriff said. Clara looked at the paper. She looked at the writing. She looked at the signature at the bottom. "According to this," Clara said slowly, "Sarah Reeves is the daughter of William Carter." The crowd went completely quiet. William Carter was the previous sheriff of Copper Ridge. He died 3 years ago. He was an honest man. He was a good man. Clara looked at Sheriff Blackwell. Which means, Clara said, Sarah Reeves is not just anyone. She is the daughter of your predecessor. She is family to this town. The sheriff's face turned red. Everything was about to change. The rope fell to the ground. The noose swung empty in the hot Arizona sun. Nobody touched it. Nobody moved. The whole town had turned to stone. Sheriff Blackwell's face was the color of blood. His hand moved to the gun on his belt, but he stopped. Everyone was watching him. 300 people were watching him, and what Clara had just said could not be taken back. Sarah Reeves was family to Copper Ridge. Sarah Reeves was the daughter of William Carter, the good sheriff, the one before Blackwell. That paper is a lie, Sheriff Blackwell said. His voice was cold and hard. That paper means nothing. But Clara held the paper higher. This is a birth certificate, she said. It is signed by Dr. Nathan Cross. It is dated 18 years ago. It has the seal of the county. It is not a lie, and you know it. Henry Mills stepped forward now. He was not afraid anymore. The sheriff could not hang an innocent girl in front of 300 witnesses. Not now. Not when she was the daughter of William Carter. Let me help her, Henry said. He was looking at Sarah and the horse. Let me help them. Sheriff Blackwell's deputies looked at each other. They did not know what to do. Their sheriff was angry. But the law had changed. The law had just changed with one piece of paper. Do it, the sheriff said finally. His voice was like a snake's voice. But understand this, the outlaw Jackson Reeves will still hang. Today, before sunset, Henry Mills ran to Sarah. He checked her pulse. She was alive but barely conscious. Her body was burning with fever and thirst and pain. He looked at the horse next to her. Help me get her inside, Henry said to Clara and old Tom. And someone bring water, cold water, as much as we have. They carried Sarah into the boarding house. Clara and Henry worked through the afternoon. They gave Sarah water slowly. They put cool cloths on her head. They removed her boots, which were tied so tight that her feet were almost purple. They gave her medicine that Henry had made from herbs and plants. The horse was different. Storm could not be moved. She was lying in the street in the heat. Henry examined her from head to tail. Her breathing was very shallow. Her pulse was weak. She had no water for many hours. She had run 50 miles across the desert. She was dying. I will do what I can, Henry said to the crowd that had gathered. But this horse needs water and rest, and she needs to be moved out of this sun. Old Tom brought his wagon. 10 men carried Storm into the stables behind the general store. They gave her water. They covered her with wet cloth to keep her cool. One man stayed with her through the afternoon. His name was Jeb. He had been a soldier in the war. He knew how to care for living things that were broken. Inside the boarding house, Sarah woke up. Her eyes opened slowly. The first thing she saw was Clara's face. The old woman was sitting next to the bed, watching her. Where am I? Sarah asked. Her voice was very quiet and weak. You are safe, Clara said. You are in my boarding house. My name is Clara. Henry Mills, the doctor, brought you here. You rode a horse for 50 miles in the heat. You almost died. Sarah tried to sit up. She could not. Her body would not obey her. Storm, she said. My horse. Where is Storm? In the stables, Clara said. A man named Jeb is caring for her. She is alive. Sarah began to cry. Not big, loud cries. Small, quiet tears. The kind of tears that come from relief and pain at the same time. Clara gave her more water. Slowly, Sarah drank. You came here to save your father, Clara said. It was not a question. Sarah nodded. She looked at the paper that Clara had placed on the table next to the bed. The birth certificate. The one that said William Carter was her father. How did you know? Sarah asked. About my father? Clara sat back in her chair. She was quiet for a moment. Then she began to tell a story. I knew William Carter, Clara said. He was a good man. The best sheriff Copper Ridge ever had. 20 years ago, he met a woman named Elizabeth. She was beautiful and kind, but she was also married to a bad man. Her husband drank too much. He hurt her. William helped her escape. Clara stopped. She looked out the window at the hot desert. They fell in love, Clara continued. But they could not be together. Not here. Not in this town. So Elizabeth left. She went to California, and William stayed here. He was a good man, but he was sad. He was sad for the rest of his life. My mother was Elizabeth, Sarah said quietly. Yes, Clara said. Your mother was Elizabeth. And 3 years ago, my daughter, Elizabeth's sister, sent me a letter. She told me that Elizabeth was dead. She told me about you. She told me that you existed. And she gave me instructions. She said if you ever came to Copper Ridge, I should help you. Because you were William Carter's daughter. And William Carter was a good man. Sarah closed her eyes. She did not know her father. She had never met him. But she knew something now. She knew that she was not the daughter of shame. She was the daughter of love. Even if that love was impossible and far away. My stepfather, Sarah said slowly, the man who raised me. He's not a good man. My mother died when I was 10. After that, he drank like a poison. He hurt me. He hurt everyone around him. Clara's face showed pain and anger. When he found out I had money saved, Sarah continued, he took it. He spent it on whiskey. I had nothing left. But then I heard about Jackson Reeves. I heard he was in this town. I heard he was going to be hanged. You know Jackson Reeves? Clara asked. Sarah opened her eyes and looked at Clara. Jackson Reeves is my real stepfather, Sarah said. Not by blood, but by choice. When my mother was dying, she asked Jackson to help me, to protect me. He was her friend, before she married the bad man. After she died, Jackson came back. He found me. He took me away. He raised me in the desert, far from my stepfather. He was kind to me. He was the only person in the world who was kind to me. Clara understood now. She understood everything. Jackson Reeves is not an outlaw, Sarah said. Or he was, maybe a long time ago. But he is not a criminal. He saved my life. That is why I came here. That is why I rode 50 miles through the desert. I came to save him, because he saved me. Outside, the sun was moving across the sky. It was moving towards sunset, and Jackson Reeves was still in the jail, and Sheriff Blackwell still had the rope ready. In the street below, people were gathering. Some wanted the hanging. Some wanted it to stop, and nobody knew which side was right. But Clara knew something that the town did not know yet. She knew that everything was about to change. Again, because secrets have power, and once they are told, they cannot be hidden again. Clara stood up. She looked at Sarah in the bed. Rest, Clara said. I will go to the jail. I will go to Sheriff Blackwell, and I will tell him something that he does not want to hear. What? Sarah asked. Clara smiled. It was a sad smile, but also a strong smile. I will tell him the truth about Jackson Reeves, Clara said, and I will tell him why he is not as powerful as he thinks he is. Clara walked to the door. She opened it. Outside, Copper Ridge was waiting. Outside, the truth was waiting. The jail was a small building made of brown wood and iron bars. Sheriff Blackwell was standing outside it, smoking a cigarette. The sun was beginning to fall toward the horizon. In 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, it would be sunset, and Jackson Reeves would hang. The sheriff was waiting for that moment. He was enjoying waiting for it. Clara walked toward him slowly. She was not afraid. She had lived 60 years. She had buried 2 children. She had buried a husband. She had nothing left to lose except her life. And her life was not as important as the truth. Sheriff Blackwell, Clara said. She stopped a few steps away from him. The sheriff turned. He looked at her with eyes that were empty and cold. Go away, old woman, he said. This is not your business. It is my business, Clara said. Everything that happens in this town is my business. I have lived here longer than you. I have seen more than you. And I know what you are. The sheriff's hand moved to his gun. But Clara did not stop talking. You are afraid, Clara said. You are afraid of Jackson Reeves. You have been afraid of him for a long time. That is why you want him dead. Not because he is a criminal, but because he knows something about you. The sheriff's face turned dark. He took 1 step toward Clara, but she did not move backward. What is it? Clara asked. What does Jackson Reeves know? What did he see? What is the secret that you want to hide so badly that you will kill an innocent man? You talk too much, Sheriff Blackwell said. His voice was like ice. And you talk about things you do not understand. But Clara was already talking again. She had decided to speak. And nothing would stop her now. 15 years ago, Clara said, there was a stagecoach robbery. Everyone in this town remembers it. $5,000 in gold. The gold was being taken to the bank in Phoenix. But the stagecoach never arrived. The gold disappeared. and Jackson Reeves was blamed. The sheriff's jaw became very tight. Jackson Reeves ran, Clara continued. Everyone thought he took the gold. Everyone thought he was a thief. But I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking all afternoon, and I realized something. Clara stepped closer to the sheriff. If Jackson Reeves took the gold, Clara said, where is it? 15 years have passed. If he had $5,000, he would not be living in the desert. He would not be poor. He would be rich and hidden somewhere far away. But he is not rich. He is poor. He is a teacher. He teaches a girl to read and write in the desert. That is not what a thief does. Sheriff Blackwell said nothing, but his hand was still on his gun. So I asked myself a question, Clara said. If Jackson Reeves did not steal the gold, who did? And then I remembered something. I remembered that you were new to this town 15 years ago. You were a deputy then. You worked under the old sheriff, William Carter. And William Carter was honest. He was very honest. Clara paused. She let the words sink into the air. William Carter investigated the robbery, Clara said. He was going to find the truth. But then something happened. Something made William stop investigating. Something made William leave his job and leave this town. He ran away. He never came back. And 6 months later, you became the new sheriff. The sheriff pulled his gun. He pointed it at Clara. Stop talking, he said. But Clara was not finished. You took the gold, Clara said. She was looking directly into his eyes. You stole the gold from the stagecoach. Maybe you planned it with someone. Maybe the stagecoach driver was helping you. I do not know. But you took it, and you hid it somewhere. And then you blamed Jackson Reeves. You made up a story. You told everyone that Jackson was the thief. That is a lie, Sheriff Blackwell said. No, Clara said. But William Carter discovered your lie. He found out the truth. And he was going to tell the town. He was going to arrest you. But you threatened him. Maybe you threatened his family. Maybe you threatened his daughter. And William Carter chose to leave this town to keep his daughter safe. The sheriff's face was shaking with anger. How do you know this? He asked. I did not know all of it, Clara said. But Sarah told me something. Sarah told me that her mother, Elizabeth, ran away when Sarah was very small. William Carter sent them away to protect them. He sent them to California. And Elizabeth took Sarah and left. That is when William lost his daughter. That is when he became sad. He lost her because of you. Because of her lie. The gun in the sheriff's hand was shaking. If you shoot me, Clara said calmly, 300 people will know what you did. They will know that you are a thief. They will know that you are a murderer. And they will hang you instead of Jackson Reeves. The sheriff lowered his gun slowly. Where is the gold? Someone shouted from the crowd. People had been listening. They had heard everything. The crowd was moving closer. They wanted to know the truth. The sheriff looked at the faces around him. He looked at the anger. He looked at the disgust. The gold is buried, he said finally. His voice was very quiet now. All the strength had left him. It is buried under the courthouse. I put it there the night I took it. I was going to dig it up and leave this town. But William Carter found out. He said he would arrest me. So I told him something. I told him that if he tried to arrest me, I would kill his daughter. I said I would kill Elizabeth. And I meant it. The crowd made a sound like wind blowing through empty buildings. William Carter believed me. The sheriff continued. He left town. He sent his family away. And I stayed. And nobody ever knew. Until now, Clara said. The sheriff looked at Jackson Reeves in the jail. Jackson was standing at the bars, listening to everything. You were innocent, the sheriff said to Jackson. I knew it. But I made everyone believe you were guilty. I needed someone to blame. I needed to hide my lie. Jackson Reeves said nothing, but his eyes were full of something that might have been forgiveness, or it might have been pity. A man in the crowd, it was Old Tom, stepped forward. He looked at the sheriff. You need to come with me, Old Tom said. We're going to dig up that courthouse. We're going to find that gold, and then we're going to take you to the real law. Not your law, the real law. The sheriff did not resist. He put down his gun. He put his hands up, and he walked with Old Tom toward the courthouse, like a man who was already dead. The crowd turned toward the jail. Jackson Reeves was free now. The lie had been broken. The truth had come out, and everything that had been hidden for 15 years was finally showing itself to the sun. In the boarding house, Sarah was sleeping, but when she woke up, she would learn that her father had been avenged. Not by violence, not by hate, but by the truth. And the truth Clara had shown everyone, was more powerful than any rope or any gun. The sun touched the horizon and began to fall. Copper Ridge was changing. Everything was changing, and it was only just beginning. Sarah woke up to the sound of rain. It was not the rain of a heavy storm. It was light rain, gentle rain, the kind of rain that comes in the late evening and cools the hot desert. She could hear it hitting the roof of Clara's boarding house like tiny fingers tapping. Her body felt better, still weak, still tired, but better than before. She looked out the window. The sun was gone. The sky was purple and orange, and the town of Copper Ridge was quiet, the kind of quiet that comes after something big has happened. Clara came into the room. She was carrying a bowl of soup and fresh bread. "You are awake," Clara said. She smiled. It was a warm smile, the smile of a grandmother. "You have slept for a long time, almost a whole day." "What happened?" Sarah asked. "After I came to the boarding house. What happened to my father? What happened to Jackson?" Clara set the bowl of soup on the table next to Sarah's bed. "Everything happened," Clara said. She sat down in the chair beside the bed. "And everything is good now." Clara told Sarah the whole story. She told her about the gold under the courthouse. She told her about Sheriff Blackwell and his lies. She told her about the people gathering in the street, all of them finally understanding that Jackson Reeves was innocent. Sarah listened. Her eyes became bigger and bigger as Clara spoke. "My father is free?" Sarah asked when Clara finished. "Yes," Clara said. "Jackson Reeves is free, and the whole town knows that he is innocent. They know that he was blamed for a crime that he did not commit, and they know that you saved him. You and that horse." Sarah started to cry. But these were different tears. These were tears of joy and relief. These were tears that meant everything was finally right. "Storm," Sarah said suddenly. "I need to see Storm. Is she alive?" Clara's face became sad. "Come," she said. "I will take you to see her. But you must be very careful. You are still very weak." Clara helped Sarah out of bed. Sarah's legs were shaking. She could barely stand. But she wanted to see Storm. She needed to see Storm. They walked slowly down the wooden stairs and out into the cool evening air. The rain was still falling lightly. It felt good on Sarah's hot skin. The stables behind the general store smelled like hay and animals and earth. Inside, lamps were burning, and there, in a large stall, was Storm. The horse was lying on her side on a bed of hay and straw. She was not dead, but she was not moving much either. Her breathing was slow and careful. When Storm heard Sarah's voice, her head moved slightly. Her eye opened. She tried to stand up. "No, girl," Sarah said softly. She knelt down next to the horse. She touched Storm's neck. The horse was warm. Her coat was wet from the water that had been splashed on her. "Rest. Just rest." Storm moved her head and touched Sarah's face with her nose. It was the gentlest touch. The touch of a mother touching a baby. The touch that said, "I was afraid I would never see you again." Sarah put her arms around the horse's neck and held her. "You saved my life," Sarah whispered. "You carried me 50 miles. You were so brave. You were so strong." A man appeared from the shadows. His name was Jeb. He was the man who had been sitting with Storm all day. "That horse is getting better," Jeb said. "She's still weak, but she will live. I think she will live." Sarah looked at Jeb. She wanted to thank him, but words were not enough. "Thank you," she said anyway. "Thank you for caring for her." "She's a good horse," Jeb said. "I could tell that right away. The way she ran into town, the way she kept looking back at you. That is a horse that loves." I wanted to help her. Sarah stayed with Storm for a long time. She talked to the horse. She told her about the journey they had taken together. She told her about the danger and the heat and the fear. And she told her that they were safe now, that everything was going to be different from now on. As the night grew darker, Clara brought Sarah back to the boarding house. Henry Mills was waiting inside. "You should rest," Henry said. "Your body needs more rest. But I wanted to tell you something." "What?" Sarah asked. "Your father is here," Henry said. "Jackson Reeves is here. He wanted to see you, but I told him you were sleeping. I told him to wait until tomorrow. But he is in the next room. He has been waiting all afternoon and all evening. He wanted to make sure you were safe." Sarah felt something break open inside her heart, something that had been closed and locked for a long time. "I want to see him," Sarah said. "Are you sure?" Clara asked. "You are very weak." "I do not care," Sarah said. I want to see him." Henry opened the door to the next room, and there was Jackson Reeves. He was sitting in a wooden chair. He was looking out the window at the rain. His face was weathered and brown. His hands were big and strong and scarred. But when he heard Sarah, he stood up very slowly. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then Jackson smiled. It was a smile that held so much love and so much relief that Sarah could not hold back her tears again. "You came for me," Jackson said. His voice was thick with emotion. "You rode 50 miles through the desert to save me. You risked everything. You saved me," Sarah said. "When I was alone, when I had nobody, you came and you saved my life. I cannot let you die. I cannot let you hang." Jackson opened his arms. Sarah ran to him and held him tight. He was warm and strong, and he smelled like the desert and like safety. And Sarah knew that no matter what happened in the future, she would always remember this moment. The moment when she stopped running. The moment when she stopped being afraid. The moment when she was finally home. "There is something you need to know," Jackson said quietly. He was holding Sarah's face in his hands. "Your father, your real father, William Carter, he was a good man, one of the best men I ever knew. And before he left this town, he left something for you." Jackson reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small leather book. "He gave this to your mother before she died," Jackson said. "And your mother gave it to me, and I have been keeping it safe for you. It is your father's journal. It is his words. It is his love for you written down. Even though he never met you, he loved you. He loved you very much." Sarah took the leather book with shaking hands. She opened it, and there, on the first page, written in careful handwriting, were the words, "For my daughter Sarah, I hope you know that I loved you, even if I cannot be there, even if I cannot hold you. I loved you with all of my heart, and I hope that one day you will know the truth. You are not the daughter of shame. You are the daughter of love. Always remember that." Sarah pressed the book to her heart, and she cried and cried and cried. But these were the best tears. These were the tears that heal. These were the tears that wash away years of pain and loneliness. Outside, the rain fell gently on Copper Ridge. And for the first time in 15 years, the town felt like a place where truth and justice and love could live together. For the first time, everything was right. 3 months had passed. The desert around Copper Ridge was green now. The winter rains had come and gone, and the earth had woken up. Grass was growing. Flowers were blooming. The world looked like it was being born again. Sarah stood in front of the new schoolhouse. It was a small building made of white wood. The windows were big and clean. The door was painted blue. Inside, there were long wooden tables and benches and shelves filled with books. She was a teacher now. Sarah's face was strong and healthy. The fever was gone. The fear was gone. She was wearing a simple blue dress. Her hair was tied back with a ribbon. She looked like someone who belonged somewhere. Someone who had found home. "Come in, children," she called. 8 children ran into the schoolhouse. They were from the town of Copper Ridge. Some were the children of shopkeepers. Some were the children of miners. One was the child of Old Tom, who owned the general store. All of them were excited to learn. Sarah had taught them to read and write the way Jackson had taught her. Slowly, carefully, with patience and love. "Today we're going to learn about numbers," Sarah said. She wrote numbers on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The children watched carefully. They were learning not just numbers. They were learning that education was a gift. That knowledge was power. That anyone could become anything if they work hard enough. At noon, when school was finished, Sarah walked out of the schoolhouse. She walked toward the stables behind the general store. Storm was there. The horse was beautiful now. Her gray coat shone in the sunlight. Her ribs no longer showed. Her hooves were strong and healthy. She had gained weight and strength. She was still not young, but she was alive. She was healthy. She was happy. "Hello, girl," Sarah said. She touched Storm's neck. The horse turned and looked at her with soft eyes. Storm could not run fast anymore. The journey across the desert had hurt her body. But she could walk. She could stand. She could live. And that was enough. "I have something for you," Sarah said. She pulled out an apple from her pocket. Storm took it gently from her hand and ate it slowly. Every day, Sarah came to see Storm. Every day, they spent time together. It was a quiet friendship, the kind of friendship that does not need words, the kind of friendship that is built on trust and love and understanding. At the jail, which was now used as a small office, Jackson Reeves was working as a deputy. Sheriff Blackwell was gone. He was in a prison in Phoenix, waiting for his trial. The stolen gold had been found under the courthouse, exactly where he said it was. The townspeople had decided to use the gold to build a new school. A school for children like Sarah. Children who had nothing. Children who deserved a chance. Jackson was not the official sheriff. The town had voted for Henry Mills to be the new sheriff. Henry was young and fair and honest. He believed in justice that was right, not justice that was convenient. But Jackson worked with him. He helped keep the peace. He helped people who were in trouble. He was respected now. Everyone in the town knew that he was innocent. Everyone knew that he was a good man. One day, a stranger came to the office. He was a man in an expensive suit. He was carrying documents. "Jackson Reeves?" the man asked. "Yes," Jackson said. "My name is Edward Carter," the man said. "I'm the son of William Carter. I am Sarah's brother." Jackson stood up slowly. He had been waiting for this moment. He had hoped for this moment. "William Carter was my father," Edward continued. "I was raised in California by my mother Elizabeth. I never knew him, but I have learned the truth about what happened to him, about why he left, and I have come to tell you something." Jackson listened. "My sister Sarah," Edward said, "should know who her brother is. She should not be alone anymore. I am here to tell her that she has family. I am here to tell her that she is not orphaned. She has me, and I have money. I have resources, and I want to help her build the life she deserves." Jackson felt tears come to his eyes. "She will be happy to know you," Jackson said. "She has been so alone, for so long." That evening, Sarah met her brother for the first time. Edward was kind and gentle. He had their father's face. He had their mother's eyes. He was family. He was blood. He was someone who belonged to her. Edward told Sarah about their mother. He told her about Elizabeth's strength and her kindness. He told her that Elizabeth had loved Sarah more than anything in the world. And he told her that William Carter had spent his whole life thinking about the daughter he could not raise. "My father wrote letters," Edward said. "Hundreds of letters. He never sent them, but I found them after he died. And I read them. And I know that you were the most important thing in his world." Edward opened a box. Inside were letters. So many letters. All of them written to Sarah. All of them filled with love and regret and hope. Sarah read them all through the night. And with each letter, a piece of her heart that had been broken was healed. 1 month later, there was a celebration in Copper Ridge. The whole town gathered in the street. There was food and music and laughter. Clara had cooked a big feast. Old Tom had brought barrels of good cider. Henry Mills stood with his arm around Mary, the woman who had wanted to help Sarah but was too afraid. They were getting married now, and Sarah was standing next to Jackson, and next to them was Storm, and next to them was Edward, who had decided to stay in Copper Ridge and help his sister. "Speech," someone shouted. Sarah should give a speech. Sarah looked at the faces of the townspeople. She saw Clara. She saw Henry. She saw Old Tom. She saw Jeb, who had saved Storm's life. She saw the children from her school. She saw people who had been afraid to help her, and people who had risked everything to save her. "I do not know how to make speeches," Sarah said. Her voice was quiet but strong. "But I want to say thank you. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping my father. Thank you for helping my horse. Thank you for believing in the truth when it was hard to believe." She paused. She looked at Storm. "When I came to this town," Sarah continued, "I was riding a dying horse. I was sick and scared and alone. I had nothing. I had nobody, but I had hope. And that hope was that someone would be brave enough to help. Someone would be kind enough to care. And I was right. You were. All of you." Sarah's voice became stronger. "A year ago, this town was full of lies. A man was going to hang for a crime he did not commit. An innocent girl was going to lose her father. And a good horse was going to die. But something changed. Someone, Clara, decided to speak the truth. And everything changed. Everything became right." She looked at Clara, who was crying. "The lesson is simple," Sarah said. "One person with courage can change everything. One person with truth can fix a broken town. One person with love can save a life. Never think that you are too small. Never think that you are too weak. Never think that your voice does not matter. Because it does. Because you do. The townspeople clapped and cheered. Jackson put his arm around Sarah's shoulder. He was so proud of her, so grateful that she was alive, so grateful that she was safe. That night, Sarah stood alone on the edge of town, looking at the desert. The stars were so bright, so beautiful. The desert was peaceful and quiet. The same desert that had almost killed her. The same desert that had tested her. The same desert that had made her strong. She heard hoofbeats. Storm was walking toward her. The horse came and stood beside her, looking at the same stars. "We made it," Sarah whispered to the horse. "We survived. We are home." Storm turned her head and touched Sarah's cheek with her nose. It was a gesture that said, "Yes, we are home. We are safe. We are loved." Sarah closed her eyes and felt the cool desert breeze on her face. She thought about William Carter, her father. She thought about Elizabeth, her mother. She thought about Jackson, who had saved her. She thought about Clara, who had saved her father. She thought about Storm, who had carried her when she could not walk. And she understood something that took her whole life to understand. Love is not about being perfect. Love is about showing up. Love is about staying when it is hard to stay. Love is about fighting for someone when the world says to give up. She had been broken, but she was whole now, and she would never be broken the same way again, because she had learned what it meant to be saved, and she would spend her whole life saving others. The end.